Okay, martial arts in the Zodiacs. Okay, let's do just a little thing. Start with Bharita. You have the Kshatriya, the Vaishya, the Shudra, and the Brahmin. The Kshatriya are the warrior caste, the enforcers of the law, the executive branch. They have the most practical and well-developed martial arts systems in the culture of the Bharita culture. That's different. By a peasant Kshatriya would have different set of martial arts. Would be the rank and file soldier, than a noble Kshatriya who would be like the general, the officer, whatever, or the local magistrates. Yeah. The Vaishya have some fighting skills for fighting off bandits if there's not a Kshatriya immediately available. Those are just, occupational things. They're not highly developed. Some might be very, very good, but most are not going to come to the level of a Kshatriya trained soldier. The Shudra have a couple well-trained bodyguards, but they mostly hire Kshatriya for that. The Shudra martial arts are mostly assassin-oriented. They're the intrigue they focus a lot on intrigue, so they have a lot of agents who might look like a secretary or a clerk, and they're actually a killer assassin. The Brahmin noble family at least had a semi-supernatural martial art form of the type you would see in Kung Fu with Kwai Chang Caine and all that, the Hollywood version of the Shaolin. There isn't much. It's hard to say how much of that still exists since they're all gone. There might be some books out there. But they approached martial arts as a sort of meditative thing more than anything else. Zodiacs in Bharita are allowed to be taught how to fight. Women, female Zodiacs, women of any kind, are not. Chudai are an exception because, Chudai are outside the law. Outside society, for that matter. But women are not allowed to learn how to fight. If a woman is found to know how to fight, they are generally executed. Sometimes they are exiled. Katina was exiled for this. But her exile was sort of a mercy, a way of workaround to get her out of the arranged marriage without anybody losing face. But the Zodiacs are taught how to fight. In fact, the Shudra Zodiacs as a whole, male and female, tend to know something of the assassin arts that are taught by the Shudra, because the Shudra Zodiacs as a whole are running their own little quiet rebellion that they know they're not ready to actually win anything. They'd need some human support for that. The Bharita have their philosophy about there's different philosophies from each of the cultures about the soul, the drive, the whatever, and the one thing for the Bharita, it's karma. And what karma is if you are at ease with your past, then you are not going to be distracted by it. If you are distracted by your past, if you have good karma, then and you face someone who's got bad karma, then you're not going to be concerned at all, because he's going to be so distracted that his skill is going to go down. He's going to be distracted by things outside of the moment. He's going to be distracted by mistakes he's made 2 days ago, a year ago, 3 years ago. He's going to be distracted by maybe mistakes he made in a past life. He's not at ease with himself. He or she doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing. He's distracted by too many things. His mind is not on what he's doing at the moment. So with that in front of you, you will draw confidence from the fact that he is so distracted, while he will become further distracted by the fact that you are so focused. So if someone with good karma goes against someone with bad karma, then the person with good karma is going to win because their mind's more on what's going on in front of them. The going from that, you have the Golden Imperial, which has a bunch. You have a standing army training people. You have family martial arts schools. This is like the wuxia kung fu movie type stuff, where you have the martial arts schools, the noble families teaching martial arts, the strange hermits in the woods that know bizarre martial arts forms, which might or might not be a wuxian or sage. And of course, their belief is the Tao, like in Tai Chi, or the yin and yang. And the Tao for them, basically, here it is. The interaction of opposites. When one state flows into another, motion becomes stillness. Stillness becomes motion. If you understand how one condition interacts with the next condition, you know how to move from one thing to the other. It's again perfection of. I'm not going to read the whole thing because I'm running out of time here, but they're talking about how things move from one state to the other. Then you get to the Hordelands, which have the Totem, and they believe they have a connected. The Hordelands are hunters. They're not out and out warriors. There's just lots of them, and a lot of them are hunters. So you get spears, bows. They're really good cavalry, horse riders. Really, they have little to no siege idea of siege warfare because they're not professional warriors. They came out of raiding parties and eventually became nomadic hunters. But spears, some dows like the Chinese broadswords we have nowadays, that kind of thing. That's what they are good at. And as for what their concept of the soul is, that's the totem, where everybody has their own guardian spirit. And if you go in, and it's kind of either a spirit or you could say their personality. So one person's personality might be more directed and focused on making sure everything is done in one single strike, like a snake. Or another person might want to do 1,000 little strikes, like maybe the ant, that kind of thing. You have to learn what your totem is, what fits for you, and you have to move in a way that matches your personality to the situation. That's the way they see things. From there, you have the Ryouiki, which is another one of the really well-established ones. The Ryouiki, you have the samurai, of course, and the katana. The katana and the use of the katana is, of course, the defining art of the samurai. Archery and is also very highly appraised. There are some different things here. To mention, for example, we've already talked about the Ryouiki and Kuchi and the fact that they are a martial tradition to make up for the fact that their magic is fairly weak. Then you have the Kikage samurai, which are Zodiacs, and even though the Zodiacs are socially considered the Zodiacs who are born to samurai status are considered socially equal, some laws were put in that the emperors at the time and since have not gone through and changed, that say that Zodiac samurai cannot use a katana, which is why the Kikage have turned the spear into their sacred weapon, and they've made the naginata almost as legendary a weapon in their hands as the katana. In fact, the Kikage would be considered a clan of heroes, badass family, whatever you want to call it, to the Ryouiki and many of the areas around. People, while the Kikage were around before they were scattered and destroyed by betrayal, were basically the Knights of the Round Table, and the symbol of what would be great for any Zodiac to achieve to. They were the thing that show that Zodiacs were equal to humans. A lot of people were gunning for them, obviously. In addition to the Kikage, you have the Kitsune Court, which even though it's called the Kitsune Court, even though most of the members are human, and there are some non-Kitsune, non-Fox Zodiacs involved. When the stricture was that Zodiacs could not use katanas, as a result, the entire Kitsune Court eventually shifted to none of them use katanas. They use wakizashi, and they are very good with those wakizashi. They are almost the Imperial Ninja. They are not really. They're investigators, maybe, cops, that kind of thing. It's hard to, and I don't know that the Kitsune Court would be considered a good battlefield warrior, but they are skilled with their wakizashi more than anybody else, and there are several masters in that regard. And then you have the Orochi clans, which are a combination of a group of combined snakes and humans that live in the mountains to the east, before you get to the Great Plains where the Hordelands are, and then on further west from there. The Orochi clans are basically the hillbilly ninjas you hear about, where they wanted to avoid shogun rules, so they went up into the hills in Japan and learned ways to hide from it. The Orochi clans are very much, we don't want to be part of anything, we just want to be left alone. That's what they are. Very wilderness warriors types. And the Ryouiki thing is the void, which is, you're in that center of self where you are aware of everything, but you don't let anything you are aware of everything, and you're aware of the consequences of everything, and you make a decision with full awareness, but you don't take the time to make the decision. Everything is instantaneous. The thought is action, action is thought. You're aware of the moment, and you're aware of what the moment can cause, but you are focused in on the moment. You're aware of what can go on beyond the moment, and you're aware of things beyond your focus, but your focus is right here on this one thing you are doing at this one moment. From there you go to the Republicans, which is the cowboy thing, so obviously pistols, quick draws, rifles. They are also some of the best knife fighters in the entire continent. Some of the officers of the military have really mastered their saber, and they are not regarded as high melee martial artists, but no one can deny the fact that they have the deadliest weapons in the world, which are the best cannons and repeating pistols and rifles and stuff like that. They have a bunch of different things like in those things. They have some very clearly understood ideas on how to fight with a knife, as well as using a pistol. Their particular philosophy is heart. If your heart's in it, if you are truly want what you are doing, if you put forth everything part of yourself into doing what you are doing, then you can't help but be successful. If you are divided, if you are not sure that this is what you really want to do, then you would only win by luck. But if every part of you is sure of what you're doing, if you are completely focused on your objective, if every part of you is moving as one, then if your heart is in it, if you have good heart, then you will win. That's the Republicans. And then you come to the Volstagg, and I think I'm going to run out of time on this. Volstagg are Vikings, sword and shield, stav, like the stav martial art you would have. You can look it up on YouTube, STAV. And their particular thing is web and Fylgia. The web is making movements that fit with your body type, and the Fylgia is kind of like the Totem from earlier, addressing things to fit your particular personality. And they also address things as coming from a particular level of authority. If you try to exceed your authority, you will have troubles. And a particular situation can give you a certain level of authority, like it's under your authority to protect someone who's being mugged, that kind of thing. And that's it.